Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. This is the JRPG Report, episode 181. My name is James Fisher. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time with us, welcome to you. If you are a long-time listener, like I know some of you are, and I thank you for that, welcome back. We've got a fun show for you guys today. We're going to do a little preview of what we know for Tokyo Game Show 2021 coming up here in just under a month from now. It gives us something to look forward to as we turn from September to October. We got kind of a breakdown of what's going on, and I'll kind of outline what we're thinking as far as like the podcast goes at that point in time as well. But we've got a bunch of other fun news stories to talk about as well. We'll get into that as soon as my mouse starts to work, and it is... There it goes. It's kind of got a mind of its own today. That's always fun. So yeah, Tokyo Game Show, of course, will be going on from September the 30th, that's a Thursday, until October the 3rd. That is a Sunday. So how it works, and I consulted Google, so this has to be correct. If you're in the Eastern time zone of the United States, Tokyo is 13 hours ahead of us. So... all the times I'm going to be talking about are Japan Standard Time. So, the opening of the show will go on 10 a.m. on September 30th. That would mean for us 11 a.m. on October the 1st. So, keep that kind of in mind. It's kind of hard to think about these things, but yeah, that'll go on. And then they'll have the keynote speech that they are calling Will Always Have Games. Tokyo Game Show celebrates its 25th anniversary this year. Where will games go in the next 25 years? What will happen to games? The game creators will be talking about the great change that is happening to the game world. That's for an hour, starting at 11 o'clock. Then they have the Gamara Game Now Tokyo Show. That's a Chinese indie publisher. King of Fighters 15 gets off at 1 o'clock. The SK Telecom Game Special. SK Telecom, I'm not sure what's... I don't know what half of these things are, let's just be frank. Next up, Teen Madness Games. It's mealtime. Xbox is going across the slightly bigger pond to Tokyo, and they're going to have a presentation going on at 1800. Jump in and join Xbox as we bring the joy and community of our gaming ecosystem to the world. Hard to kind of imagine what they're going to talk about for 15 minutes. I don't know. I mean, they've tried for years and years and years and had some minor successes. I mean, for the longest time, that was the only way to play Tales of Vesperia in the West was via the Xbox 360. But so there you go. There's a new information reveal for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel coming up at 1900. Spike Chunsoft goes after that. D3 Publisher gets their live going on at 9 o'clock that night. Capcom will take the stage at, that is 10 o'clock at night. And then Yuri Kill. So, like I said, don't know what some of these are. The next day, the official program starts off at 10 in the morning. This is kind of odd because it goes on at 11 o'clock in the morning, but it's called Sense of Wonder Night 2021. You would think that would at least be at nighttime. But there you go, something called NTTE Sports Program HappyNet Game Showcase. After that, 505 Games is doing a presentation. So here's where we get to what we really want to be talking about. October the 1st at 1900, so that's 7 o'clock at night in Tokyo. Square Enix will take the stage. They've got 50 minutes to give their presentation. They will give you the latest news about our upcoming titles, along with the pre-announced information, which is, at least I've not seen any specifics on what that is going to entail just yet. Following them up is the Idolmaster Starlit Season. Yay. Now, this is interesting. At 9 o'clock that night, Level 5 has a 50-minute presentation. What will they talk about? Will it be something that we want to hear, or many things that we don't? Please, Level 5, return to glory. After this stage, and they get an hour and 15 minutes to round out the night, the Sega Atlas presentation. They are doing kind of their own thing as well. They're going to have a live stream going on from October 1st until the 3rd. So maybe this their presentation will kick off at this point, but then last for 2 days. Apparently, I guess they'll take a break to sleep. I'm not real sure. The next day on October 2nd, HappyNet has another one. Tencent has a presentation on it at noon. The Japan Game Awards Amateur Division starting at 12:30. Lillipath Games Warpath and New Game Release Conference. After that, Gung Ho Online Entertainment. That on October the 2nd at 1600 hours, they may have something that might pique our interest. The actual Japan Game Show Awards are after that. Something I'm interested in learning a little bit more about and tuning into is the Koei Tecmo special program. So that is on October the 2nd, starting at 2000. That's 8 o'clock at night. They say featured titles will be Nobunaga's Ambition, Senshai, Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, Blue Reflection Second Light, and a secret title. Looking more into that, it's going to be starting at 2100 Japan Central Time. That will be the Blue Reflection Second Light presentation, featured with some of the voice actors from the game. Then they say, quote, plus more guests to be announced for unannounced title. So this doesn't feel like it's just going to be a video. They're actually bringing in guests for an unannounced title. So when Blue Reflection Second Light was announced, I was hoping it was Ryza 3. Now that this tease is going on, I hope it's Ryza 3. The idea that they're bringing in voice actor or actresses from it could indicate that it's a already established franchise like that, and they could bring in some of the voice actors and actresses from the Ryza series. That would just make a lot of sense. Please do it. I don't know what this is, but the Tokimeki Memorial Girls Side 4th Heart Stage. There you go. DMM Games rounding out the night. The next day in the morning, there's something called S-Game. New action RPG arrives. New expedition begins. Live broadcast. They're doing a Japan Electronics College. They've had this exhibit on since the beginning, so not sure what that is. Arc System Works will have a presentation after that. This one seems interesting. We'll see what this is. 110 Industries, the feature presentation of new AAA products currently in development under the 110 Industries umbrella. The show will open with a speech made by veterans of the industry, highlighting the innovation in game development. The premiere a gameplay teaser for Wanted Dead, a third-person shooter, which is made by the Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive team. The presentation will end with a CG teaser of Vengeance is Mine, a new AAA action/RPG currently in development. NC Soft has a presentation after that. Ubisoft has their own special thing. Not sure what we'll get JRPG-wise out of that. Maybe I keep hoping for another Child of Light experience and or sequel. I don't think we're ever going to get it. And that day, there's a Genshin Impact thing going on. I'm not sure what new information. They've kind of doing their own thing. This one sounds familiar, but I don't know if it's tied into Grand or not. But it's Grand Saga. It's got a thing at the very end of the show before the show ends around midnight that night. So there's some things to look forward to. Obviously, we'll see what happens with Square Enix if they outline exactly what they're going to do. They've previously stated that Final Fantasy XVI will not be there. They've not really gone into details other than that. But I think this is shaping up to be a pretty decent show. This is just kind of what we know. And these are the ones that have presentations. It's not necessarily going to be everything that's going to go on. There's always surprises that pop up, and it's a very exciting time. So the way I'm looking at it, I've broken this up into 2 podcasts before. It may be that way again. The big 3 nearly back to back to back, right? Or at least could be big 3, but definitely with Square Enix, Level 5 perhaps doing something, and then Sega Atlas running out the night. That's on their October 1st, right? So that would be our September 30th. That's going to be kind of late, so I will wait until those wrap up. If that means the podcast comes out on September 30th, a Thursday, like usual, that'd be great. I just don't know how that's going to work out timing-wise. It may end up coming out actually on Friday the 1st. And if anything pops up after that, there could be a part 2. You just never know what you're going to get. Tokyo Game Show always gets me so excited because it is our premier event of the year. If something is going to be announced at a big show, it's going to be there. So, yeah, we got a little bit of time as I get more details, particularly like what Square Enix announced, if Sega those that need more information, I will pass it along to you guys. But we've got some other regular stories to talk about here coming up next. Let's do something kind of fun and new. We've never done this before. Obviously, you guys know how important, in particular, Apple reviews are on the podcast app, wherever you download things at. But I have access to Apple. I have an iPhone. So let's do this. If you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, hopefully a 5-star review, I will read it here on the podcast. These are always kind of fun. If you do it on a different platform, that's cool, but I really don't have time to go and check every single platform out there. So if you want a review on whatever platform you listen to it, just snap me a screenshot or, copy and paste whatever you type out on there and then send an email to jrpgreport@gmail.com. I'll read it there as well. But let's go back a couple of them. These are from our original reviews. We've had 16 lovely individuals who have given us a 5-star review, and I thank you so much for that. Our first one goes back to our buddy Living Persona, and he says, "Great show, man." He says, "P.S. Fire Emblem is his favorite series ever. I hope you'll give Three Houses a try." This was written when Three Houses came out, and I am sad to say I've not done that yet. It's something that does intrigue me a little bit. Being on the Switch, I don't have a lot of portable opportunities, and I already have a couple of things I'd like to play on it, like, upcoming on vacation stuff. But if I see it, I wouldn't mind adding it to the collection, which increases its chances exponentially of actually getting played. So we shall wait and see. Thank you, Living Persona. And some person named Guitaru Man Dalton. I have no idea who that could be. I don't know. You guys may know. He says, "This show gives me my weekly JRPG news, and the host is very entertaining and informative. Definitely a must for any JRPG fan." I couldn't agree more. I mean, those are... Thank you so much, buddy. We'll try to keep it a little more humble next time, but thanks. I do appreciate those words. But yeah, if you want to give me a review, in particular on Apple Podcast, I shall read it out for you guys. And I really appreciate that stuff. It really bumps up the rankings. You know how important that stuff is. Back to the news. Square Enix will release... I kind of was surprised by this one. They say they're going... Bravely Default 2 is available right now, September 2nd, for PC via Steam. This actually broke moments after, or maybe the next day last week, after we recorded last week's podcast, so I didn't get to bring it to you. It's going to be a full-price game, $59.99. However, if you had it pre-ordered, or you purchased the game before September 13th, you get 10% off, so mark it down to $54. It first launched on the Switch back on February the 26th. The PC version includes controller support, well, thank goodness, and various resolution options, as well as support for English and Japanese audio, English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, simplified Chinese, and traditional Chinese text. I've got Bravely Default 2. as I was actually talking a moment ago about Fire Emblem on the Switch, Bravely Default 2 is going to be my Switch vacation game of 2021 when we take our vacation middle of October. So you guys know all about Bravely Default 2. I even played the demo there for a while. It's a fantastic looking and playing game. I am surprised not only that this game relatively quickly, came to PC and is available right now, but you would have guessed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the first two games are available on PC as of right now. So maybe that'll come at some later point in time, but not that you have to play them in order. In fact, you definitely don't, but it kind of would have been a nice move to build people up to it and get them ready. But yeah, if you've been holding out on this one, you don't have to wait any longer, PC owners. You can get it right now. And like I said, if you order it before the 13th of September, you get 10% off that price. This one, we kind of were speculating it would come to the West, but we weren't completely sure. It's coming. Demon Gaze Extra is coming to the West. In fact, it's coming out worldwide on December the 9th for PlayStation 4 and Switch via Clouded Leopard Entertainment. It's a full price game for $59.99. The publisher announced the worldwide release will support English and Japanese audio. Very cool. And it will have English, Korean, and traditional Chinese text. There are a digital premium edition for PS4 and digital deluxe edition for Switch will also be available for $20 more. Didn't really say what all is involved in that. Of course, this was a Vita game that came out a few years ago, just called Demon Gaze. The game takes place in the Mizrid region of the West, a land now desolate and cursed due to a terrible tragedy that occurred long ago. In Extra, a wide variety of labyrinths/dungeons await. The game takes place where there are many unique labyrinths above ground, underground, and even underwater. Remastered graphics give dungeon crawling a more realistic feel. There is the Dragon Inn, which is a bounty hunter HQ. When the hero returns from a labyrinth, he is greeted at the Dragon Inn by a group of characters, all with unique personalities. The atmosphere here is fun, cheerful, and sometimes even serious. Use Demon Gaze to hunt down android-like life forms known as demons. Demons are android-like creatures that suddenly appeared in Mizrid, and when they unleash their true power, they reveal even more vicious abilities. If you defeat the masters of the labyrinth, you will gain abilities unique to each demon's personality. You can also use Open Demon Command to summon them to participate in battle. While the original Demon Gaze had its fans, and some players may have been encouraged by its challenging gameplay style, in Demon Gaze Extra, various elements have been tweaked, including the addition of high-speed battle function, a retry function, and enhanced autopilot function. Now, even dungeon RPG beginners need not fear. That's pretty cool. It's always nice to have those extra features unlocked in there. Now, there was a question popped up when I shared this launch trailer, a Western announced trailer, if there's going to be a physical edition or not. It doesn't say there is one, but it doesn't say there is not one. It only mentioned the digital deluxe editions of it. So the way I'm looking at this is, game's not coming out till December, right? Clouded Leopard Entertainment handles the Asian markets. So I'm feeling like they're making this announcement. They know they can commit to it digitally. Obviously, it's no problem to do it that way. Maybe they're still shopping for a Western physical publisher. If that ends up being either Play Asia or Limited Run, we'll have to, cross that bridge when we get there. So I couldn't answer that question right away. I hope that it comes physical. Of course, I've already got the game for Vita. I can't really say I'm going to pick it back up again. At least not day one. So as soon as I hear something, I will let you know. As of right now, I can't say for sure whether or not that's coming. And it's kind of a bummer. I understand, but it's not a no. That's all. Sometimes that's all I can tell you. Speaking of games coming to PC, Onion Games will release Moon for PC via Steam. The developer announced. They did not say when that was coming, merely that it was coming. This is that anti hero RPG game that came out first for the PlayStation back in Japan in 1997. It got a re-release on Switch in August 2020 in the West. So if you've been, kind of waiting around to see if this one comes to the PC, it's coming. We just don't know quite when it's coming. We got news, I believe this was actually yesterday, that remember Xbox Gamepass has been adding Final Fantasy games here about every month or so. And the next one coming up is not my favorite. However, it is coming on September the 2nd. Oh, that's today. Okay. So, Final Fantasy XIII is coming out. It's available for PC and for consoles. Say what you will about the game. The more I've dived into 13 and its fan base, there are quite a few people that enjoyed it. I think it was more my generation and ones who grew up with Final Fantasy who did not care for it. And maybe if you hadn't played a lot of the games, especially the older ones, you'd have probably liked it a lot more than some of the other ones. But yeah, it's available right now on Xbox Game Pass. Not sure how long it's going to be there for, but it's there right now. A bunch of other games as well, but that's the only JRPG. And in what can only be referred to as a straight baller move, right? Moment, hours later, PlayStation Now says, we're going to do that too. That sounds like what we're exactly going to do. So Xbox has had a Final Fantasy come here past few months. Well, PlayStation Now is going to do it as well over the next 5 months, starting on September 7th with Final Fantasy VII. You can pick that up on PlayStation Now. And then next you get Final Fantasy VIII Remastered on October 5th. 9 is coming out on November 2nd. 10 and 10-2 Remaster on December the 7th. And finally, Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, will be out on January the 4th of 2022. So if you're a PlayStation Now owner, you just got a whole lot of content added to you for the next couple months. I'm not sure how long games stay on Game Pass. I did quickly look it up, and PlayStation Now seems like it's about 3 to 6 months that they stay on there. I'm not sure. I still don't know why exactly that they have timed exclusives, why they can't just stay on there longer, but I guess that just creates scarcity and the want to play them. So there you go. Capcom has released a trailer and information for Monster Hunter 2 Wings of Ruins version 1.3 update, which is out today. Today's a popular day for things popping up. September the 2nd. The update adds new monsters: Orishi Karen, Soul Seer Mitsuzune, and Elder Frost Gammoth, as well as new co-op quests and side quests. Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin is available now for Switch and PC via Steam. So there you go. You got your new update. I'm sure it's not the last. There's always more coming. Coming soon to Android and iOS devices is Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend. They will be coming to mobile devices on September 22nd. PC owners will get the collection on October the 21st. This includes Final Fantasy Legend 1, 2, and 3. Those Game Boy titles that they brought over. The origin of the Saga franchise, Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legends, is now available. Well, it's not now available. This was, I guess, read from the PC release of it. Or not PC, the Switch. Was it Switch? Yeah. That's what happened. It came to the Switch in December of 2020. They just copied over the the text on that. With high-speed mode and adjustable screen orientation, these games have been powered up for this re-release. Assign buttons how you wish and even play one-handed, and you can enjoy these titles in either English or Japanese. And like I said, it's got Legend 1, 2, and 3. You get the high-speed mode with faster movement and dialogue. Switch between horizontal or vertical screen orientations if you're playing on mobile, and freely choose between English or Japanese. The language you choose determines the version you will play. So I guess there was some differences in each version. So yeah, if you've been holding out on that one, if you're not a Switch owner or something, you can get it on the App Store on your iOS device or the Google Play Store on Android September 22nd. PC owners via Steam on October the 21st. I shared this on our YouTube channel. There was a new 3-minute trailer for the Japanese version of The Legend of Heroes Hero no Koseki. This one is due out at the end of the month, September 30th. In Japan, there was also a live stream that went on for it, and it showed off, I think, about 9 minutes of gameplay. You can also check that out on our YouTube channel. I snipped it out from the large live stream and cut it down to just the gameplay. There was a bunch of there was actually a much longer segment of gameplay, but this was just like the battle system. The rest of it was all diving through the menus, and it's all in Japanese. So I didn't really feel like it added to the to the experience to watch menus in Japanese unless you know them. Then it would have been a little more interesting, I guess. But you can always check out the official live stream if you want to get into that stuff. Still pretty salty about how long this game is going to take to get over here to us because it looks so much fun. Can't wait to get into it. Eventually. One of these days, maybe. Something to get excited about next week on September the 9th at 1 p.m., or that's 4 p.m. Eastern, Sony will host PlayStation Showcase 2021. The 40-minute broadcast will feature updates from PlayStation Studios and some of the industry's most imaginative developers, end quote, for games releasing this holiday and beyond. A post-show will feature updates from some of the studios behind the studio teams featured in the showcase. The broadcast will not feature any information about the next generation of PlayStation VR. Go ahead and put that out there. We're not doing it. So that would tend to imply these are going to be mostly PlayStation 5 titles, or maybe the odd 4 still snuck in there. I would have to say we're going to get Kaya in there. We're going to get the now delayed, Horizon. I think it's not coming out until February now. We know Final Fantasy 16 is not going to be at Tokyo Game Show. At least that's what they've said. Maybe it's because it's going to be shown here. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I don't think it will be, but who knows? It's a PlayStation exclusive, so why not? This would be the place to perhaps show it. I don't know. This is off the topic completely, but we fired up the PS5 yesterday, and they do a really good job of a trending page that shows up on your main page there. And if you are looking for a fun, family, quick in there play with everybody involved game, there's a new game that's called Let's Move. I think it's moving out, something like that. It's so it is a game where you are a moving company and you are the hired help, and so your job is to go into these houses and move the stuff out, right? So the most mundane, terrible part about growing up and moving, they have turned into a hilarious and super fun game. I played it with my daughter, and it's they use the Unity engine, so it's pretty cool. It's the physics are all kind of well done, but we were just laughing and having an absolute blast. I think it's like $12.99. It's super cheap. Highly encourage you to play. So obviously you can move a box by yourself, but if you want to move the couch, you have to use, 2 people to do it. And it's all the struggles of real life, trying to get couches outdoors. And, just check out the trailer if you fire it up and play. I think it's a PlayStation 4 game, but obviously it's on the 5. You can play it as well. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. Looking forward to play it a little bit more. I think it goes up to 4 people too, so you can have all kinds of stuff. But yeah, there's my shameless plug for a game that we played yesterday and had a lot of fun checking it out. Speaking of games that you can play right now, this came out the other day, was the Prini Presents NES Classics Volume 1, which is Nippon Ichi's backlog that they're bringing to the Nintendo Switch. And Siliconia did a really good write-up on what exactly these games are and why you should care. So one of the games involved is Soul Nomad and the World Eaters, a 2007 tactical RPG. They say if you haven't heard of it, it's not really your fault. It wasn't a huge seller at the time, and it came out, it was one of those ones that came out for PS2 after the PS3 had launched. Everybody's attention was already on the new stuff. They say it's weird in the signature NIS way, but Soul Nomad is notably darker than the company's other titles. It's largely built around the idea of rooms. Instead of moving units on a grid, you move a platoon of them, built in formation, to attack other similar teams. In this way, it's a bit like Org Battle or something, but it still sticks to a turn-based setup. The tactics of the map matter far less than how you configure and build those largely autonomous squads. Phantom Brave, the Bermuda Triangle Remastered, is the other game in the collection. It's also a strategy RPG, most known for its grid-free combat system. Instead, much like some tabletop games, this 2004 title measures pure point-to-point distance. It's a distinction that earned a lot of re-releases from the Wii to PSP to PC and now to the Switch. Outside of this novel approach, the game has a lot of this guy fans will find familiar. It's got a load of content, tons of phantom units to unlock, a bunch of jobs, all that stuff. It's meant to be a time sink in a similar way, and it's not afraid to borrow the structures that helped make the same development team that do in the first Disgaea game. They asked, why is this a collection? It's a good question. They're both NIS strategy games, but they really don't have a lot in common, and their ports feel very different. Bundling just 2 games is kind of weird, especially since they're selling separately on PC. That's and they said they don't have a great answer for that. What makes these versions special? Nomad remains largely untouched since its initial release, and it shows. It's blurry. It's still in the 4:3 ratio, so you get those awesome black lines on the side. But here it is, and a port as such for an underappreciated game is still something. Phantom Brave, on the other hand, has been on a lot of platforms, and it carries those upgrades. Outside the sprite work still looking like it does, the presentation feels like it's something that actually fits on the Switch. And then the next logical question, and somebody asked this on our YouTube channel, is what could we see in Volume 2? There's no information out there yet, but it's fairly easy to speculate. The series seems designed to cover Nippon Ichi's non-Disgaea catalog, but it's also focused on titles already available internationally. They say, as such, we're likely to see Makai Kingdom, Grim Grimoire, and La Pucelle Tactics. Alternatively, a second volume could move on to NIS's robust PSP library, but your guess is as good as any. So good job, guys. That's, you guys know me. I love my turn-based RPGs, but I stink at strategy RPGs. So growing up and seeing these games, this was PS2 was my GameStop days, right? So I saw all these games on the shelves, or a lot of them. NIS America always stood out with their artwork. Like, you could definitely tell, like, that's a strategy JRPG if I ever saw one. You could see it from across the store. So I remember seeing a lot of these games, but never picking them up. And, well, I just couldn't play them anyway. So good job telling the people what that one's about. You can get that for the Switch right now. I think it was $39.99. I probably should have checked on the price before going into all that detail. It didn't say it in the article, but there you go. You can get it right now if you're so wanting. Don't forget to give us a like on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see all the trailers that we talk about in today's podcast. And of course, if you want to, we do make a video version of this podcast each week, which has all those trailers and media and images, all that kind of baked into the podcast itself. You can get it all as one giant experience. We don't get to talk about new games. Well, okay, so we only get to talk about once games that we've never talked about before, and then it's old news. This is new news. Publisher Danjin Entertainment and developer Stegiosoft Games have announced Rise of the Third Power for PC via Steam. This is described as a love letter to the glory days of console-style RPGs. A release date was not announced, however, it was at the end of the trailer. It's going to be Q1 of 2022, but a demo is available in Japanese and English right now until September the 8th. So obviously this is going to be an early build demo. They're doing it for a time release, so you check it out and give them some feedback so they know where to go with this one. Rise of the Third Power is a love letter to the glory days of console RPGs with modern conveniences such as autosave and a combination of the best elements of Japanese and Western style gameplay and writing. Experience this fusion of East and West, old and new, and a game meant to surpass Stegiosoft Games' previous work in every way. It is story-driven. Join a party of 8, each with their own unique ambitions, perspective, and personalities as they embark upon a suicide mission to topple the Arcadian Emperor. A blend of humor, drama, and tragedy await players as they navigate the treacherous world of Ren. There's political intrigue as the world of Ren recovers from the Great War. The balance of power remains badly skewed, the vacuums of power still waiting to be filled. The player's party will both beset and be aided by schemers, liars, and betrayers, all while the clock ticks down to a reprise of the greatest war in human history. Rise of the Third Power offers 8 playable characters in a battle system built from scratch, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, all of whom are meant to participate in battle simultaneously without the need of tedious party management. I like that idea. Combine each character's unique powers and disadvantages, analyze the abilities of your foes, set your formation, and charge into battle. There is persistent equipment. Each piece of equipment found, purchased, or stolen is a permanent, unique upgrade for each character. Instead of purchasing replacements, the player purchases upgrades. No more buying that awesome helmet back in town only to stumble over a better one as a treasure in a dungeon. That is one of those, oh man, we've all been there. Especially the older games where you had to like grind for money to upgrade, and then 5 minutes later, you end up going into the dungeon and getting something better. Yeah, ooh, that one stings. Each character has 3 equipment slots with 8 upgrades each, with 192 defined in total. This system avoids the tedium of inventory management while also giving the completionist something useful to hunt for. There was a announcement trailer that went along with this. You can check it out on our YouTube channel, of course. I really like the look of this thing. I'm kind of curious if it's going to come to consoles after its PC debut. It is very old school and in some of the best ways, if that makes sense. Looks the part. You know, it definitely looks like a Super Nintendo game, if I had to put my finger on it, with some of the modern conveniences, as they say. So yeah, I don't think my PC will run it, but perhaps if this thing makes its way to consoles in the future, I can give it a check out. I kind of like it. There was a new media blast for Shin Megami Tensei V. They talked about some of the characters they've shown off so far, which is Shoei Yukimono, Nuwa, and Abadel, as well as the game's negotiation, fusion, and that skill/stat building system. The one character, and I think he looks like somebody that was in the Shin Megami Tensei 3 remaster trailer, is Shuhei Yukimono, a mysterious man who stands in the way of the protagonist as he advances through Dayot. He calls himself an exterminator of demons, though his motives and true allegiance remain unknown. His only partner, Nua, is a demon herself, so that's kind of a tricky line to walk down. And as far as Nua, she is a goddess that appears in Chinese mythology. She's worked alongside Yukimono since he was young to fulfill a certain goal. She confronts the protagonist without warning or mercy. That's the bad female character that showed up in some of the trailers. Then you've got Abdiel, who is the archangel in command of Bethel's main branch. Stern and uncompromising, she uses her overwhelming power to eradicate anyone who threatens the aims of Bethel. She's fervently devoted to God and is committed to defending his order at all cost. It showed off some of the new demons they haven't talked about yet in their Daily Demon video series. That's not that I've seen. While exploring Dayot, you'll encounter over 200 types of demons. So many demons. They seem to either fall. You've got all of your beast characters, and then they've got attractive female or disgusting monster. That seems to be the range. Sometimes combining both. That's tends to be what they're going for. By and large, that's what I'm seeing. Negotiation. You can talk to enemy demons and turn them into an ally instead. Demons all have their own personalities and quirks, and this game will feature all new behavioral patterns. It is said that the temperaments of demons are also influenced by moon phases, particularly beneath full and new moons. Demons are hard to read and harder to convince, but taking chances with outlandish responses is part of the fun. In addition, having certain demons in your party may lead to special conversations with the enemy demons you encounter. Certain demons that share mythological connections sometimes seem to recognize each other. Experiment, and you may be surprised by what ensues. Again, my worst part of Persona is trying to get demons to join me. I am terrible at it and end up fighting them a lot. If you've seen some of those Daily Demon videos, you've seen Sophia, who is in charge of the Fusion series. Demon Fusion allows you to combine two demons to create a new one. Aside from basic two-demon fusion, you can also perform reverse fusion, where you're able to see the results first and select the necessary demons accordingly. Special fusions involving 2 to 4 demons to create even stronger ones, and elemental fusions, which allow you to upgrade or downgrade to another demon within the same family. Fusing allows you to transfer your favorite skills freely into newer demons, aside from a few exceptions. Visit Sophia in the World of Shadows to create your own unique, powerful demons. That's a big part of these games, of course. Shin Megami Tensei V is shaping up pretty nicely. You can get it on the Switch on November 11th in Japan and November 12th worldwide. I want to wrap up the podcast with 2 interviews. Before I do that, I would ask for your financial support. If you are liking what you are hearing each and every week, if you enjoy what we're doing on YouTube, please consider giving financial support to the podcast. It really helps out. You can do that in the link at the very bottom of the podcast through the Anchor app. You can do it through Patreon. Just search for JRPG Report. We are on over there. If you don't have either one of those, if you don't want to do it every month, that's cool. We do direct donation as well through PayPal. James Fisher Productions at gmail.com. You can find all those links down below. I don't know how I'm feeling about this game, but let's just get into it. Tales of Luminaria, right? The mobile version of Tales of. So they did a little bit more of a interview, and I didn't recognize this, but Yusuke Tomizawa, who is the producer on Tales of Arise, he's also working on this game. So maybe that makes me feel a little bit better about it. We'll just we'll wait and see. To do it is through mobile platforms. You don't have to. Everybody has a smartphone in their pocket, and not everybody has a console, especially nowadays. So if somebody says to me, "I've never played of Characters," I think it would be a great game for those who have never played a Tales of game before. I tell you, that really took me out of my limited experience with Crestoria. The idea that it was an original cast of characters, and then boom, here's all these random Tales people that you can, in a gacha system. So maybe this is going to be actually cost money, and it will just be a game. That would be a step in the right direction. He says, our goal is to create a game that allows anyone to experience the charm of Tales of anytime, anywhere in the smartphone form factor. Also, as you can see from the trailer, the game is played in portrait mode. Please note the expressions and movements of the characters that can only be experienced in this vertical display. It's interesting. We're also very particular about the character designs, but we'll talk about that next time. Tales of Luminaria is a game which we have put a lot of effort in creating a smartphone unique experience to enjoy. Please look forward to our first completely new original title, which you can experience and feel its possibilities and discoveries. So there you go. I mean, I see what they're doing, right? If it's not like other smartphone games and it's actually its own thing, maybe it could be something we look into. We got a ways to go till it comes out, and I'll pass along more information as we get to it. Speaking of smartphones, although this also came to PC as well, Stoke Coney did a interview with the producers, well, not the producers, but some of the artists behind the Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered. They did art director Kazuko Shibuya and producer Toshiro Akiyama. He talked about the sprites and designs in the game. So this will be the last thing we talk about today. The first question was, what was it like returning to work on sprites and designs for older Final Fantasy games for this series after so many years? It should be answers. I think the reason why I was able to gain this opportunity is thanks to the fact that I'm still actively at Square Enix. So I was just genuinely glad that I've continued working for so long, and grateful to be able to revisit my own work starting point from 34 years ago. Very cool. Next question was, how influential were the 16-bit games like 4, 5, and 6 on the sprites for the first 3 remasters? He answers, for Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, I refrained from filling in extensive details and kept the visuals looking similar to how they did on the Super Nintendo system. Although these were for the Nintendo. So anyway, the field and battle animations used in Final Fantasy V as a basic point of reference, so they can nod their heads and wave their hands. Very cool. Of the 6 games, Final Fantasy 3 and 4 ended up being with 3D remakes. Did they affect the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster sprites, designs, and development? And did any part of the 3D remakes rub off on them? And he said, I didn't have the 3D remake in mind at all. Next question was, with games like 4, 5, and 6 already being 16-bit titles, did that mean fewer changes? How did you approach working on them? He says, during the Famicom era, regardless of the number of bits, the pixels were arranged in a unique way that's specifically for them to be displayed on a CRT monitor, where colors blur, expand, and stretch vertically. They aren't meant for liquid crystal displays, like most newer TVs. Well, I guess not the newest ones, but at all, where each pixel shows up with vivid clarity. In this remaster series, we've redone the art with the intention of it being on an LCD screen. Additionally, in terms of character size, we've added more leeway above and to the left and to the right of the original 16 by 24 pixels across Final Fantasies 1 through 6 to give the characters' poses more freedom. This allows arms to extend laterally and for capes to sway or flutter. For Final Fantasy VI, due to the large head-to-body proportions, the height of the head was prevented from being fully shown, instead making it completely flat. At the time, I desperately wished I could have done just one more pixel on top. My wish came true in this remaster. The reason why it doesn't look awkward in the original version is thanks to the CRT monitor, which expands and stretches images vertically. Next question. Each Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster entry has its own art gallery. How did you decide which pieces to share? And the producer, Akiyama, answers, Mr. Amano has created very many beautiful illustrations for us, but there have been very few opportunities to view them together as a collection. Therefore, we have included as many illustrations as possible this time. I think we could have even called this a complete collection. Additionally, for Final Fantasies 4 through 6, we had the characters' super deformed illustrations, which had been created at what was Square at the time, so we included all of those. And next question is, how did more modern sprite Final Fantasy games like Brave, Exvius, and Record Keeper influence character and enemy designs? And again, he answers, I wasn't thinking of them at all, and they didn't influence them at all. Last thing, with King's Knight remake being associated with Final Fantasy XV, are there any other classic games you worked on that you'd like to see return and revive somehow? And he says, perhaps the 3D battles of World Runner. The game had included the option to view it in 3D by using 3D glasses, but I think it could be done with CG now. I'm not sure what that one is, but there you go. Of course, you can get the first 3 remasters right now on PC and mobile devices. Final Fantasy IV Remaster is coming out on September the 8th. So that's kind of a cool little look into what's going on as far as that goes. And that'll be the last thing we talk about. That'll wrap up episode 181. Quickly just checking on that. Yeah, I don't see anything. I thought something may have picked up on Twitter while we were recording. Always try to check in there to make sure nothing broke while we're recording. But, yep, that was it. That'll put a bow on episode 181. My name is James Fisher. Thank you so much for tuning in this week and every week. We'll be back next Thursday with a brand new podcast and lots of fun things to talk about. But until then, one more week, guys. Next time we talk, it'll be the next day. Till the rise. Anyway, get back out there and level up.